Hello, welcome back to another Axe on Health video. Today we are going to be covering 5 nutrition myths that I hear all the time. Now, I went through a couple of the ones I hear often. I got to about 10 or 15 and I categorized them down to 5. These aren't the 5 most important. They're not in chronological order. They're just 5 myths that I believe affect people psychologically and their actual progress because of multiple different reasons. And we're going to go over that. So, number 1, let's just jump right into it. You have to eat certain foods to lose weight. Absolutely false. And some of these tie in together, like number 5, there's bad foods and inherently bad foods for you. So you do not have to eat certain foods to not allow you to lose body fat. Now, there are 2 sides of the field to this. We have health, what's more generally healthy or what's going to have me lose body fat. And there are some actually decent statistics out there. I know Dr. Layne Norton covered a study that they looked at people who lost weight, and actually it was the weight they lost, not the method in which they did it, that actually improved different types of health markers, whether it was total cholesterol or I think HDL wasn't affected, but LDL was affected, blood pressure, resting heart rate, and so forth. So no food, as long as you're on a calorie deficit, no matter what people say, you are going to lose weight, okay? Now, there's an optimal way to do this and a non-optimal way. Most people, 99% people do it the fast, easy, not intelligent, drop way too many calories, don't understand their BMR, don't follow a guideline. They listen to people that don't understand nutrition, and they end up losing a bunch of weight really quickly, or they don't calculate their macros, and they're like, well, these foods don't let you lose weight. No. Now, 1 carb, protein, okay, units of energy, 4 calories, 1 gram of fat, 9 calories, alcohol, 7. So if you eat a bunch of fat and you're like, well, avocados don't let me lose weight. No. You're just not tracking your macros properly, and you don't even know where your maintenance calories are. So I could go into much more depth, but there isn't a single food on this planet that you cannot eat in a fat loss phase. 0. None. So, number 2, losing weight is the problem. So, Dr. Layne Norton's book, Fat Loss Forever, is probably the most concise and condensed book out right now on optimal fat loss, and it's easy to understand. There are certain books, like the one I'm looking at right here by Dr. Don Murphy on the CRISP protocols for low back, those books are read at the clinician level. And then Layne's book has clinician application and practical application, which are the same thing, but the average layman can understand them. It's a great book. So, like I said, we don't have a problem losing weight. People lose weight every day, every New Year's, all the time. The problem is we have a keep the weight off problem, which makes sense. Now, this is basically what happens in the easiest way. When you crash diet and you don't track anything, most people go back to eating where they were. But your BMR goes down as your body fat goes down, okay? It's a physiologic adaptation, whether it's your thyroid, hormones, and everything physiologically in your body that contributes to your metabolism. So your baseline goes down. Your maintenance calories were not what they were before. So let's say you're 250 pounds, your maintenance calories is 3,000 calories. You go down to 200 pounds and you lost 50 pounds in 6 weeks, which is ridiculous and way outside the guidelines. Almost nobody who loses weight that fast keeps it off forever because they set themselves up with bad habits, and I'm telling you, nobody intelligent in nutrition is giving someone a plan like that. So, and then we can go into the aspect of, if your body fat's really high and your baseline calories are low, you actually have to reverse diet first. You have to actually build back up your metabolic rate and reverse diet the other way to give yourself some more cushion when you come down. If your maintenance calories are 1,000 calories and you're 250 pounds because you crash dieted over and over and over again, you have nowhere to move. You have nowhere to go. That's a problem. So again, losing weight's not the problem. It is because people lose weight in a very non-optimal way, but people cannot keep the weight off. Most people gain the weight back, and then they gain even more weight. And then what they do again, they crash diet, and the studies show, Layne had a study in his book about rats. So crash diet, gain the weight back. They had to dig deeper the second time, and they gained the weight back 3 times as fast. This happens all the time because people don't understand calories or how to actually implement a good nutritional plan long term. Number 3, Calories don't work for me. This kind of goes back to you have to eat certain foods. This cannot be, listen, everyone has a BMR. Everyone has a basal metabolic rate or a maintenance calories, whatever you want to call it for simplicity. Yours just might be lower. People will say, I'm insulin resistant. Maybe. You're right. Maybe insulin doesn't take glucose out of your bloodstream fast enough. But guess what? You still have a maintenance calories, even if they're 800. So that means that calories work for you. You just have destroyed your metabolism from following all these terrible recommendations and fad diets. You got yourself to a point where actually now you're in a bad position. Like I said, you have to reverse diet and go the other way. This isn't a terrible thing. It's not like your life is over, but it's going to take a little bit longer for you. You probably have bad psychological habits with foods. You look at certain foods as good and bad, total black and white, nonsensical. You've tried crash dieting and all sorts of stuff. So this is a terrible way to go about eating, and it's still portrayed in the mainstream media all of the time. So, gotta switch again. Number 4. This is just not really like that big of a myth, but I do enjoy talking about it. Intermittent fasting is magic. It is the reason why I'm losing weight. No. Intermittent fasting is not causing you to lose weight. What's causing you to lose weight is the calorie deficit you're creating. Because people will be like, well, I fast 16 hours, eat 8 hours a day, or fast 18 hours a day. I'm telling you right now, if you eat over your maintenance calories in those 6 hours, you will gain weight. Okay? The law of thermodynamics, you are going to gain weight. I promise you. So intermittent fasting is a tool. Maybe you're a surgeon. Maybe you work 15 hours a day. I'm really busy all the time. So sometimes I might intermittent fast, and I still get my macros in every single day or around that, depending on where I am with my goals. But intermittent fasting is absolutely not magic. There are tons of books out there talking about the anti-aging properties of fasting and everything. I'm not talking about that, and I'm not educated on that. So you might say to me, well, Nick, I heard fasting does this to these certain properties neurochemically. Don't know, don't care. Not my field, something I care about too much. Ask someone who knows. But intermittent fasting is not the reason why you're losing weight. It's the calorie deficit you have created by taking away maybe 1 or 2 meals a day and not filling in those gaps. Plain and simple, non-arguable. Every scientist who actually understands nutrition and does this, understands biochemistry, will agree with this over and over. This is the big one. This is the one that actually affects your psychology a little bit more than everything. There is no such thing as an inherently bad or good food, okay? Foods are just foods that we attach meaning to. Now, I get it. You can go down the hydrogenated oil or the trans fat. Yes, you want to have minimal trans fat, minimal hydrogenated oil, minimal processed food in boundaries. But those foods, like a piece of cake, is not inherently bad. That piece of cake is not out to attack you or make you fat. What's making you fat, guess what, is eating in a calorie surplus. So remember, toxicity is in the dosage. You can kill yourself by eating enough chicken, guarantee it. No one's probably ever done it, but theoretically you could do it. Eating enough brown rice, chicken, and broccoli with no sodium, you could kill yourself doing that if you actually wanted to. Now, is a plethora and unlimited amount of processed foods, candies, cakes, donuts good for you? Of course not. And again, this splits into general health and body fat loss. You can drink ranch. You literally, if you have a maintenance calories of 2,000 calories and you track it and you get your protein in and you eat the rest of your calories in ranch and track macros, you might shit your pants all day, but you will lose weight. You might not be healthy, but you will lose weight. So there has to be a balance between general health, getting your micronutrients, getting your minerals, getting your vitamins, all that stuff in. Whatever the recommendations, I just do about 2 servings of vegetables and 1 serving of fruit for every 1,000 calories. So I like that. I got that from Matt Ogus a few years ago. I stuck with it. I just enjoy that. So again, if I went to Disney World and I had chicken and broccoli and a piece of cake, and I was like, people would be like, that food's bad for you and that food's good for you. Context dependent. If you have maintenance calories, like me, my maintenance calories right now on my low days are 3,400 calories. I can have 2 Pop-Tarts. That's 300 calories. Do 300 divided by 3,200. What is that, like 6% of my, 7% of my daily calories? If the rest of my food is coming from nutritional whole foods, there's absolutely no problem with that. It's not going to be detrimental to my health. It's not going to cause you to not lose weight. There's so many myths surrounding this that it is unbelievable. And it's hard. I understand why people freak out. Like I get upset about it, but it's not I don't get upset because of what people are doing. It's just my belief that they, irrationally that they must know this, but they don't, and they don't have to know it. And all you can do is educate them. And if they never want to listen, like Jillian Michaels or any of these people, it doesn't matter. Sorry, my camera just froze there for a second. It doesn't matter at all. You cannot force people to change. You can provide the information, and if no one wants to listen to you, doesn't matter. So I don't care if one person watches this video and they hate it. It doesn't matter to me. I like talking about this stuff. I think it's fun. So again, these are some big myths. And there's some couple other ones out there too, like, like keto's better for fat loss, or this is, no. Whatever you adhere to is better for fat loss. It has nothing to do with the diet. It has to do with you can adhere to and what you're consistent with. Principle of specificity in exercise science, more specific the goal, more specific the plan. If you're not going to stick to that, even like I want to build as much muscle as possible. Principle of specificity to hypertrophy training, building muscle. But you're not going to stick with that, then there's no way it's going to work because you're not going to adhere to it. It's the same thing with nutrition. Figure out what you can adhere to. Try to sway away from all the bullshit. There's a lot of it. There's a lot of good people. My brother, Hunter Pauley, Pauley, he just got his RD. Dr. Lane Norton. Anyone, Dr. Eric Helms, Mike Israetel. There's lots of people out there that are exercise scientists, but also have good nutritional recommendations, and a bunch of other pages on Instagram or YouTube. Jeff Nippard, Matt Ogus, Chris Barracat. So it's about following the correct people, okay? Because there's a lot of nonsense all over everywhere you go. People Magazine, the stores, it's nonsense. Nonsense. Setting you up for bad habits, bad psychological habits, bad outlook on food, and it actually doesn't create anything. Do you know how funny it is when people look at me and they're like, damn, what's your calories? So I'm like, 3,400? They're like, no way. Like, yeah, it's way. I reverse dieted for 2 years. I got my metabolism up as best as I could because your metabolism is not stagnant, it's malleable. So it can change. That's what happens when you age. Naturally, your metabolism goes down. So obviously, if it can change then, why can't you help change it now? It's basically common sense. So I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.